All right, Shalom. This is Hara1 by Yasha Allah of the GMS Lions Den Camp. I want to say Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, by Hashem Hawashai, by Hashem Harakakwadash Ma'amath. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. And Shalom to you, Akim, and Akwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. My bad, I saw something on the TV screen that said, beautiful escape. Well, that's what the Lord is setting up, a beautiful escape for the children of Israel, for the hopeful elect, to escape the trap that's being set. Now, I'm going to read the title. It says, "The dollar underpins American power. Rivals are building workarounds. Dying dollar. Iran sanctions spur Europe and India to devise systems to trade with Tehran without using the U.S. currency." Now, the term currency means anything that's being used in a system for monetary value. All right, right now they're using the dollar, or they use money orders. Either one, same thing. All right, which is backed by the dollar's backed by nothing. Or what they call faith or hope in the dollar. That's all it's backed by. It has no gold or asset value. It's a reserve currency. So the dollar underpins American power. Rivals are building workarounds. What's a workaround? Meaning they all pull away from the dollar. And that's called a dollar collapse. All right. When they all have no faith in the dollar, they lose hope in the dollar. And through Trump or America going at Iran, Tehran, now basically set a trap for America. By America putting sanctions on these different countries and mainly on Iran and pulling out of the JCPOA and putting sanctions on Iran. Now all these nations are forced to go around America and create a different setup. So they're basically making America kill themselves instead of them killing America off. You know, they want America to weaken itself first. Just like you kill the big dragon or the buffalo, you had to circle around it a few times and throw ropes around his neck until it get tired and weak, and that's when they go in and kill it. That's what they're gonna do with America. All right, America's called circling the drain. But so the dollar underpins American power. Rivals are building workarounds. So without the dollar, America has no power, besides their military. And even that, the Most High has made America weak compared to these nations. He hasn't taken anything away from America. He has strengthened these other nations to be able to go against America. That's why the scriptures say, let the weak say, I am strong. You see that? So, let me get this real quick. All right. Now, this is the definition of a dollar collapse, because you have a depression, you have a recession, you have an economic collapse, and you also have a dollar collapse. All right. So the dollar collapse is about to happen right along with the economy collapse. All right. Because they're talking about raising it. The Fed's talking about lowering the interest rates. All right. I'll probably get into that with the next lesson. It says a dollar collapse is when the value of the U.S. dollar plummets. All right, so when the value of it plummets, meaning around the world, and people lose hope in the dollar. Watching the trends. Anyone who holds dollar-denominated assets will sell them at any cost. All right, so if they have bonds or anything in dollars, they're gonna sell it. Sell. China's gonna do it. Russia's gonna do it. Iran's doing it. All these nations are gonna start dumping their dollar once these new systems are fully put in place. Like they call the European Three, which is like Germany and two other countries. Those countries are coming up with different ways to do deals with Iran, which ultimately will set up a full skeleton or structure or blueprint for entities to be created. For entities to be created, for them to start doing their deals. All right, and go around the dollar. They won't be dealing with the dollar anymore, which will leave America excluded from their new world order. All right, the first world order was set up with the dollar after 1971, with 1971. And now they're establishing a new world currency, which is going to be the RFID chip tagged to blockchain or XRPs or whatever other system they have set up with Ripple and Bitcoin and all these different systems that tie into blockchain, where everybody's information will be tied to it. All right. Anyone who holds dollar-denominated assets will sell them at any cost. That includes foreign governments who own U.S. treasuries. It also affects foreign exchange, future traders. This will drive the value of the dollar down to near zero. So that's called a dollar collapse. When all the countries start selling, dumping it. And this is their cause to start doing that, when they create these different entities or conduits to deal with each other to where they won't be sanctioned. Now see that? All right, this is a sanction, which is basically an act of war, attacking their economy, attacking their system. They basically doing an act of war against these countries without the military being involved. All right, those are acts of war. It's an economic war. What do they call that, man? Arms race, Now it says sanction, a threatened penalty for disobeying a law or rule. All right, so basically, official permission or approval for an action. So it'd be number one. So it's a penalty, a punishment, a deterrent. All right, so that's what America's doing to Iran, putting penalties on them. All right, to punish. All right, this is from the Financial Tribune. The first Iranian English economic daily. So it's an Iranian newspaper. So it says Russia's EU envoy. Right, EU represents the European Union or Europe, or what you call the dragon in the Bible. The EU's Iran trade mechanism unavailing. So Russia's not digging anything dealing with America or anything dealing with Europe. All right. It says the instrument is in support of trade exchanges. That's called Instex. That's what they call it, Instex. Known as Instex, a European Union mechanism. So there's something they came up with, or entity that they established, and it's faulty, because Europe is playing both sides until America completely bottoms out. All right. And it says a European Union mechanism for financial settlements with Iran is failing to gain momentum. Russia's permanent envoy to the EU, Vladimir Kizov, told TASS news agency on Friday the mechanism is in place, but so far it has not gained momentum. The only thing it can now take pride in is that it is now yielding some deals, but these are agreements for food products and not subject to the U.S. sanctions anyway. So Europe now moving fast enough for places like Russia and China. China and Russia, they want to end all this BS now. Europe set a mechanism in place to do food deals and basic needs with Iran. All right, so they're playing both sides because they're really the starter of all this trouble. You know, they call themselves trying to bring order out of chaos. Well, they're the cause of the chaos. All right. It says, so it has nothing to do with bypassing sanctions. The Russian diplomat noted, naturally, it would be logical to ask if Instex was created to pay for goods not falling under the sanctions, then why was it needed? My European colleagues keep saying that this is just the beginning. And so the EU is saying this is just the beginning. Of what? Of them trying to bypass American power and weaken the infrastructure and power of America, which is the dollar. France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, the E3, that's the E3, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. All right, all part of the 7 heads, 10 horns. Party to the landmark Iran nuclear deal announced in February the creation of a financial mechanism for non-dollar trade with Iran. So that all these nations are going to be able to trade with each other without using the dollar. You know, when it was set in place that no nations could do deals except for using the dollar. And it all started really with 1971 when they pegged the dollar to oil. All right, with what they call the Nixon shock. And all the nations were forced to buy dollars and keep it as a reserve currency when it had no real power. It wasn't backed by gold anymore. All right, it was they set up what you call the dollar as the world currency. I'm gonna read this too. 2 months later, Iran created a corresponding entity for Instex, known as the Special Trade and Finance Institute, STFI. Fearing U.S. wrath, the EU mechanism has so far failed to initiate trade with Iran as was expected by businesses in and outside Iran. So it says what? Patience is running out. All right. So, all right. Now this is 1944, what's called the Bretton Woods Agreement, right? I'm gonna just read it. It says 1944, and this is right after World War II. It says, why the dollar is the global currency. Basically, it's saying why the dollar is the global currency. The 1944 Bretton Woods Agreement kickstarted the dollar into its current position. Before then, most countries were on the gold standard. Their governments promised to redeem their currencies for their value in gold upon demand. All right, so it's a certain amount of gold they can get. I think it was like $30 for one Boeing troy ounce of gold or Boeing of gold. I can't remember, but they used to do like $30 for gold. So all the nations were like, "Oh yeah, bet we trade in gold and get $30 so we can use it and buy certain things around the world with." Since it's going to be the world currency set up by the World Bank and of America with the IMF. All right, it says why the dollar is the global currency, and it says a global currency is one that is accepted for trade throughout the world, and this is accepted for trade, but now they're cutting it out since 1944 and 1971 when it was pegged to the oil. All right, because all these nations was using their assets to buy the dollar, which is a fiat floating reserve currency. It's funny money. And they would turn in true assets for this fake asset, which is a dollar. and they would buy it and put it in reserves and see who can get the most of it. All right. And that's how America was used to play the harlot. Europe being the pimp, the European banks and elite bankers being the pimps, and using America to steal the true assets from these countries through the dollar, which is the witchcraft. All right. So now all the nations are bypassing America and creating different systems to not deal with the dollar, which makes it what? Lose value and no longer a world currency. All right. And takes power away from America. So let me read this one. It says a global currency is one that is accepted for trade throughout the world. Some of the world's currencies are accepted for most international transactions. The most popular are the US dollar, the euro, and the yen. Another name for a global currency is the reserve currency. Now, the euro is backed by gold, and the yen is backed by 100% backed by gold. So that's going to be the lead currency. Another name for a global currency is the reserve currency. Of these, see, that's another name for a global currency is the reserve currency. All right. One of these, the US dollar is the most popular because they have the most faith in that. As of the third quarter of 2018, it makes up nearly 62% of all known central bank foreign exchange reserves. That makes it the de facto global currency, meaning it's operating in fact or meaning only reason it exists, just like the courts, they operate in de facto, meaning it's not a true fact that they exist, but they exist as long as everybody has faith in it and everybody's dealing with it, so it exists. The courts don't operate or exist until you walk into them. All right. Once you walk into it, the court is alive. But the dollar has no power. Just like these idols, they operate in de facto. They don't exist until people start believing in them. All right. They still don't exist. They just dumb idols. Same thing with the currency. All right. That makes it the de facto global currency, even though it doesn't hold an official title. All right. So that currency can be changed at any minute. And that's why they're going to bring in the RFID chip to peg that to what they call their slaves or straw man in America. All right. Or persons. And they're going to try to tie that RFID chip to you, give you a clear balance. Say if you would like to exist in their new world order, you're going to have an RFID chip. And to be able to use blockchain system, get XRPs, Bitcoin, or a digital form of dollars. All right. That could be Europe that makes that call, or it could be America through Trump that makes that call to chip everybody. But it's going to be a world currency. Everybody got to switch off of the dollar and out these fiat currencies, and they're going to move to blockchain system. And tie that to true assets again, like gold, oil, silver. All right, now this is called what? Instex. Europe sets up transactions channel with Iran. And that's today. Going from 1944 all the way till today. All right, the Bretton Woods Agreement. And then with 1971, with the Nixon shock, where they removed the gold standard from the dollar, where they tricked everybody. They got everybody to buy into the dollar with the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944. And then in 1971, they robbed all the nations, literally took their gold, didn't pay them back, nothing. You know, all the nations started calling for their gold back since the war broke out, Vietnam War. They saw that America was stockpiling, buying weapons. They were like, yo, hold up. You're buying all this stuff. So that means you're using money to do it. Now we got bonds in dollars, and we expect you to have our gold. Matter of fact, give us our gold because we don't want you to hyperinflate these dollars or just start printing funny money. You know, give out a certificate, one certificate to Italy or Russia per amount of the gold that they give America. And if that's all that should be given out, but what America has done, they followed after the Rothschild plan to where they started hyperinflating the dollars, or mass producing the paper dollars when they really didn't have the gold to back it. So instead of one certificate, they'll make 3 or 4. You see that? And get more people in debt and buy things with it. All right. So when these nations call for their gold, they say, you know what? It's too many dollars out here now. And there's not enough assets in America that we've given. So we need ours back. That's when America, through Nixon, did what you call the Nixon shock in 1971, where they say, you know what? If y'all do that, that's going to collapse our currency and we have to go to war. I'm going to say that again. If these nations pull away from the dollar, that would collapse America's currency and America would not exist. America is a mirage. You know, it exists through a United States, a United Corporations, and a central bank, which is through the Federal Reserve, centralized through that, which they're trying to decentralize now. All right. So America is a mirage, man. You know, when everybody stopped dealing with the dollar now, they're pulling away from the dollar. That's going to collapse America's currency. All right. That's called a dollar collapse, where it falls, the value of it falls to zero, meaning no value in it, no faith, no use for it. Everybody just won't accept it. All right. Transactions. Instex Europe sets up transactions channel with Iran. And that was in January. So now it's really kicking up now in June 2019. Germany, France, and the UK, that's the E3. Germany, France, and the UK. The United Kingdom is a few countries like headed by Britain, which is the lion. All right, Britain being the head over the IMF. All right, England. So it says, in the UK have set up a payment channel with Iran called Instex to help continue trade and circumvent U.S. sanctions. So America won't be able to punish or have any power over any nations if they just stop dealing with America's dollar. America won't be able to say nothing. The only thing they'll be able to do is threaten with war. It's crazy, man. So this is about to happen. This is it. The dollar collapse is coming. They all pulling away. And Iran is demanding that they find a different, alternate mechanism or channel to make their trade deals. If not, they're going to war. It says to help continue trade and circumvent U.S. sanctions. Washington has cautioned EU nations against such actions. Several European countries have set up a new transaction called channel that will allow companies to continue trading with Iran despite U.S. sanctions. The announcement was made on Thursday. The channel set up by Germany, France, and the UK is called Instex, short for Instrument in Support of Trade Exchanges. We're making clear that we didn't just talk about keeping the nuclear deal with Iran alive, but now we're creating a possibility to conduct business transactions. German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas told reporters Thursday after a meeting with European counterparts in Bucharest, Romania. This is a precondition for us to meet the obligation. So it's a precondition. They just setting it up. and establishing it. But they're gonna launch it off, and that's gonna shut America down, man. Obligations we entered into in order to demand from Iran that it doesn't begin military uranium enrichment. The payment channel allows for European countries to continue trade with Iran, but could put them on a collision course with Washington. So, and that's going to happen according to prophecy, with Europe going at America, stripping the whore of all his riches. What is Instex? A special purpose vehicle that will allow European businesses to trade with Iran despite strict U.S. sanctions. All right, so this is all created by the Most High, man, for his last days. You know, and Trump is mad. Let me see this right here. Where is it at? I seen it earlier. There you go. U.S. reaction. The Trump administration had warned the European Union, the dragon, against trying to sidestep sanctions on Iran. They sidestepping America. On Thursday, the U.S. State Department said it was closely following reports on the European mechanism. All right, so basically Satan is divided against Satan, and it has an end. It's about to end. As the president has made clear, entities that continue to engage in sanctionable activity involving Iran risk severe consequences that could include losing access to the U.S. financial system. They don't care. They done with America. They done with the system. All right, that's out of the mouth of these elite bankers. They're done with the American system. And the ability to do business with the United States or U.S. companies. The State Department said in statement, all right, Mark 3 and 23. And he called them unto him and said unto them in the parables, how can Satan cast out Satan? And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. All right, so that's how you know this place, the adversary, Esau in general, but ultimately America and the EU, but starting with America, is at its end. All right, Revelation 17 and 15. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And that's America ruling over all these nations. And ultimately, America being what? The melting pot. All right. That's the whore that sitteth upon many waters, upon many nations, like Babylon did. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So they're going to make America desolate, as they're beginning to do. And naked, they're going to strip America of all its riches. All right, and shall eat her flesh, man, and burn her with fire. So pull up all the protection of America. All right, all her dainties. All right, now I forgot what the E3 was. I think it was France, Germany, and the UK. All right, now here go the 10 horns right here. Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Greece, Ireland, England, and West Germany. So through Ireland and England, you have what's called the UK, and Luxembourg, and I think the Netherlands. Now I think Luxembourg is Eastern Germany, and you have Western Germany, and you have France. All right, so those nations, including the rest of the European countries, are going to go against the great whore, America. All right, this is the word whore in the Greek. It's porne, which means a strumpet, an idolater. So America is the great idolater. They built on idol worship, you know. And also, Europe used America to impoverish all these other nations. A woman who sells her body for sexual uses, a prostitute, a harlot, one who yields herself to defilement for the sake of gain. And that's what America has done. Any woman indulging in an unlawful, a woman just means servant, sexual intercourse, whether for gain or for lust, an idolatress of Babylon, Rome, the chief seat of idolatry. That's America. All right, America is the new Rome. And it's basically Babylon. All right. And it says it right there, an idolatress Babylon. So America is the daughter of Babylon, meaning a whore just like her mother. All right, because if you read right here, Revelation 17, the whole chapter, it speaks of all the riches and how she was arrayed in purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, and having golden cup in her hand, full of abominations of her fornication. See that? So America was, I wasn't reading just now, I was kind of skimming. Come and skip back down to the bottom. But America's used as witchcraft. America is the harlot, being draped with all these different dainties to look like a beautiful golden city, when really it's hell. It's Babylon, deception. All right. So she was arrayed by who? The European Union, the dragon, the devil. You know? And also they pushed their philosophies through this place, the fornication, idolatry, idol worship. They worship the idols of Egypt, Babylon, all these different nations. All right, verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, which, all right, was all a part of NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. These shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked. So they're making America desolate and naked. All right. Literal or physical, properly unclad without clothing the naked body, meaning showing her shame, according to the scriptures. They're going to pull up her skirt. The Lord, really the Most High is doing it. All right, lay bare. All right, mere grain, not the plant itself, stripped of the body. So they're going to hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh. All right. It says to eat fago, which means to to consume a thing, to take food, to devour. They're gonna devour, consume everything they gave her. Put it like that, all the riches and wealth. It says sarx, which means what? Flesh as stripped of the skin. They're gonna take everything back. The meat of an animal, where is that? The flesh, number one, the soft substance of the living body, which covers the bones and is permeated with blood of both man and beast. The body of a man used of natural physical origin, without any suggestion of depravity. The physical nature of man as subject to suffering. All right. So it's basically going to cause America to suffer through these different alternatives they coming up with by pulling away from the dollar. You know, so these are gonna hate the whore, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. So they're gonna play a part in the missiles hitting America as well. America's gonna be that lake of fire. Verse 18, and the woman which thou sawest is that great city. No, so like, let me read it correctly. All right, verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For Yahweh have put in their hearts, so the Most High have put in their hearts, to fulfill his will. So them coming up with that plan called Instex, conduits to bypass the American dollar and take away the power of America. That's the Most High putting that to their hearts to do it. All right, for Yahweh have put in their hearts to fulfill his will. That's to bring about the end times, the judgment of America. It's beautiful, man. Kal halayim le'hao b'ashim Yahushua. And to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of Yahweh shall be fulfilled. All right, 2nd Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Wait a point. All right, here go the point. 2nd Ezra 16 and 17. And the verse I was going to read earlier was mentioning the lack of bread. There's going to be a famine of bread, famine of food, and it's going to be civil war. People are going to be invading each other's houses. So ultimately, all this is going to fall on the people. 2nd Ezra 16 and 17. Woe is me, woe is me. Who will deliver me in those days, right? Ezra is back on this earth today. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings. So it's the beginning, just like the European Union said, this is just the beginning, right? This is literally the beginning of the sorrows and great mournings. A lot of people are going to be dying. The beginning of famine and great death. All right. The beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? The word evil just means bad things or bad times. Behold, famine and plagues. Wow, sicknesses, man, and famine, lack of food and money, resources. Tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things, for correction, that's what amendment means, correction. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth. All right, and what are victuals? All right, this is victuals. It says what? Food or provisions. Fair cooking, cuisine, sustenance, nutriment, nourishment, nutrition, provide with food or other stores. All right. So the food and prices are cheap right now, just like Walmart. Their whole thing is everyday low prices. But all that's about to change, man. They're gonna have hyperinflation at the shelves. That's when you know hyperinflation had happened, or a dollar collapse. All right. When they're losing faith in the dollar, or something happened with the dollar, when it falls on the people, they're gonna pay for it at the shelves. When they go to the store, the same thing that was cheap yesterday gonna be too expensive tomorrow. All right, and that's gonna cause a famine. It says, behold, verse 21, behold, victuals, provisions, food at the shelves, or whatever you want to call it, shall be so good cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth. Sword, famine, and great confusion. And that's happening while everybody in America running a rat race for no damn reason. All this is vanity, to build some type of dirt mound like a bunch of ants. But then that dirt mound gonna be blown away with the wind. America's a temporary mirage. a temporary punishment. All right. So it's what? So great confusion and famine and destruction is coming upon the earth. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of the famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So there's only one way out of this, man, through true riches, which is wisdom, and through true protection from the only power, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, salvation. Because this is about to happen, man. They're setting everything in place to collapse the American currency. You know? All right, I'm going to end it with this. Haggai 1:6. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Just talking to Jake. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Right? The Lord say, drink of his word, of his water, and you shall not thirst anymore. All right? If you be filled with this truth, then you'll be full. Like he says, your cup will run over. You know? And those that be sluggers in doing his will with his money, then you will never have enough. You know? So ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm, man. So you're not comforted by your covering in this society. All right? Because everything's going to be stripped. So you want to cover yourself with the covering of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man, and his holy angels and his truth. All right? That's the covering. He said they covered themselves with the covering, but not of him. Right? They follow, our 2/3 of our people follow after Esau in America. They follow the deceiver, the devil. And he that earneth wages to put into a bag with holes. So anybody that has a 401k retirement plan, money saved up, Bitcoin, all these different investments, and they looking for the long haul, the outcome, harvest day. That's not going to happen. The vintage shall fail. All your investments are going to fail. All right. So, yep. Let me read this one more time. All right. So it says, the dollar underpins American power. Rivals are building workarounds. Iran's sanctions spur Europe and India to devise systems to trade with Tehran without using the U.S. currency. This is called the dying dollar. All right. This is Psalm 7:15. He made a pit and digged it. All right. And this is Esau ultimately. But a reflection of that is going to be America, the beginning start of it. And they've dug a ditch for Iran. And now what it says, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pate, meaning his own crown, his own riches, his own wealth, and his own head, man. Upon Amalek. All right, upon America. Ultimately, Esau. I will praise Yahweh according to his righteousness, and will sing praise the name of Yahweh, to the name of Yahweh, the Most High. So everything that America tries to do, they're going to tangle themselves up in quicksand, and they're going to fall into the ditch or the trap that they're trying to set. All right. And Esau ultimately is going to fall into his own trap that they're trying to set for the children of Israel. All right. So with that, I'm going to say Shalom.